Everyone is running around like chickens with their heads gone. And it is actually very frustrating. It is actually frustrating because I cannot believe people can live this way. I'm walking around trying my best to stay out of the way. Trying my best to just live the path of light to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect, I know. But I'm trying to keep my head up, dodge these demons, and just try and stay out of the way. And even when I stay out of the way, people will always try to get in my way. And so what I've done is that I have just decided that this is no longer worth going in public. It seems is almost no longer worth it to me anymore. I went to the store today to get something, like 2 items, literally only 2 items. Stuff is expensive. And I walk like I drive. I walk on the right side of the aisle. I pause before I enter an aisle because people with carts will be right there. I don't want to get run over. I say thank you when I ask someone for help for looking for something, and the clerk tells me where it is. I say excuse me before I talk to people. Now, I'm not saying these things to say like, oh, I'm so humble and put my nose in the air. I'm doing everything right and put my nose in the air. No. I'm saying is that this is what I meant. This is what I meant when I said that don't be good anymore. Don't be nice. Don't be... It's like nowadays to function, you have to be an a-hole. To function now, you have to walk around with your head cut off almost. Just like them. Just like Matrix people. And it's disgusting because I've tried doing that and I can't do it. I don't know. Have you tried doing that? You let me know. I've tried walking around with my head cut off. I tried dodging in and out of people like a maniac. I've tried walking 20 miles an hour. I've tried saying, hey, where's that? What? Huh? Oh, over there? Huh? What? I've tried acting like a complete idiot. It doesn't work. It's not in me. I can't do it. And when I do it, I want to throw up. It's crazy because it's as if, and this will be the title for my video, it's as if you need to be just as stupid as everybody else to function these days. In order to function, it's as if you need to be just as stupid as everybody else. In order to function, it's as if you need to live your life just as stupid as everybody else. And I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm not trying to, as a man, I don't want to judge, but it's an observation and it weighs really heavy on me. Because, what happened to common courtesy? I'm not saying be kind and be, bubbly and be bending your back backwards and, kissing people's feet. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying what happened to just minding your own business, keeping your head down, moving with purpose, but at the same time being a smart person about it and being courteous about it, It's like people can't do that anymore. People don't know how to do that. I'm genuinely surprised here. Why is it so hard when you walk in the store? Why is it so hard to just push your cart, if you have one? Why is it so hard for these people, these NPCs, to push their cart on the right side of the road or the left side of the road? Pick one. Because you're in a grocery store, you can just pick a side. Why is it so hard for you to... Why do you have to stand in the middle of the main aisle, smack in the middle? Not the side aisles where the groceries are. I mean the main aisle where people walk, the thoroughfare. Why is there a need for you just to stand there with your cart sticking out 45 degrees, blocking like a roadblock, when you see somebody like me coming? That's what I mean, where it gets really frustrating sometimes, because I'm scratching my head like, really? Like, you're a full-grown adult. You're a mature, full-grown, experienced. I can tell, you got white hair, you've got gray hair, you got wrinkles, or, you got a full beard, you know, you're covered in tattoos, you look like you've been to a few places in your life. Good. You NPC, but why the hell do you have to do this? Why do you have to just block me with your cart when you know I'm coming and act like you don't see me coming? That's what I mean. That's chosen one stuff right there. That's like, I don't know what I meant by that, but that's just like stuff that happens to you when you're chosen, when you're different. And it's like, I can't really hold children accountable because they're children, but they'll be like children, like literally running into me whenever I go to the store, like crashing into me almost. Sometimes they actually do run into me. But when I was a child, I remember my parents kept me in line, and like if I dared, maybe it's because I was chosen, I was different. Maybe they were really, really tough on me because I was different. But if I dared put 1 foot out of the imaginary box that I stood in, okay, when I was around them, if I dared put 1 foot outside that box, that imaginary box, that square, I was like, I got my ass whooped. And these kids these days run around like literal monkeys, both boys and girls. I'm not even kidding. They have a lot of energy. That's great. But their parents don't even care. Their parents like look the other way while their kid is running around, crashing into other people, and their parents are just talking and just shopping and with their head in the clouds, like they couldn't give a damn. And these are, supposed to be responsible parents. And so, like I said, it's like, okay, how would you like it if I literally just crashed into you when I was walking around while I was shopping? I'm not a kid, I know, I'm not a child, but it's the same principle. A full-grown adult, How would you like it if I pushed a cart and just turned at 45 degrees and just kind of walked over here in the middle of the thoroughfare while somebody was coming down the aisle, walking, and I just still did it. I was still in their way. Like, how would you like it if I did that? Okay? Would you say something, right? I'm talking to NPCs, that's why I'm hypothetically speaking to the NPCs right now for a second. So bear with me. If I were talking to the Matrix people, I would say, hey, are you going to say something to me? Does this bother you? Like, how does this feel when I just turn my cart this way and just flounder around like nobody's walking toward you, like nobody's coming? How would you like it if as soon as I check out my groceries and I walk toward the exit door, I just stand there and start chatting with the greeter, and I'm blocking the exit doors with my basket and my body so that the people behind me can't leave. And they have places to go. How would you like it if I did that? Would you say something? Would you say, excuse me, sir, blonde hair, you gotta move. Excuse me, sir, there are people behind you. And yet, if I did that, if I said something to these people, what they probably say is like, lecture me on how to be patient or some crap. They can do anything they want, but when it comes to people like us, people who are different, it's like we can't do anything. We make one mistake, they snap on us like a mousetrap. We make one mistake, they snap on you like a mousetrap. You have to be perfect at all times. You have to say everything just right. You have to stay out of the way, but we can get in your way, but you gotta stay out of our way. God damn it. You better pay for all those groceries. You're not skip bagging, are you? But we can do it, and if we do it and we get caught, we'll just say it was an accident. Oh, I forgot to scan this. It was an accident. Oh, you're fine. But if someone like you do it, or me, it's like, sir, what do you think you're doing? That hasn't happened to me, but I'm throwing out these scenarios, anything that could happen in a grocery store, okay? If I go to a gas station and I park wrong in the parking spot, when I walk out of the store, this has happened to me. I'm like a couple inches over the line. I come out of the 7-Eleven, and guess what I see? An older gentleman standing there, like looking at my car. Is this your car? You know, I think you missed the line. Like, yeah, when I parked here at 11 p.m., there was nobody here. I was going to be 3 seconds. I'm very, very sorry, sir. Let me get in my car and move. But if they do it, they can park any way they want. They can double park. They can park in a handicap with no placard. Nobody will say anything. And yes, I know. There may have been times when you were able to get away with things because you're different, you're special, you're set apart, you're kind. Karma is real. The universe gives you what you put in. So yeah, maybe one time, a couple times, you were able to get away with something. Like, maybe you spilled something in a store and you walked away and nobody said anything, nobody noticed, right? That was a fluke, right? I'm talking about in general. Or maybe you were short the change in the checkout line and a nice stranger gave you $5. That actually happened to me before. I was with a family member. We were at a gas station, and the gentleman just came out of nowhere and gave me $5 because I was putting gas in my mom's car, and my sister and I were standing there. I was about to pay for it, and I told the cashier, give me 5 on 5. And the gentleman behind me just gave me $5 more. He's like, make it 10 on 5. I was like, oh, thank you. My sister was like, take it. I was like, okay. I wasn't going to take it. But, it was my mom's car. So I was like, screw it. I might as well put extra gas in her car for her. So sometimes, yeah, good things happen to you, right? Because you're different. You're chosen. Okay. I'll give you that. For the majority of us, for the majority of you, a majority of the time, people will not have anything. They will not cut you any slack. They want to take everything from you. They want to take your good energy. They want to take. They hold you to a really, really crazy high standard, which you can live up to, by the way, but it's very, very exhausting. And the second you don't live up to that standard, they get super angry with you and they retaliate or they lash out at you. Their demons come out, right? Like I said, you'll walk out of the store, you'll see somebody standing next to your car, or you'll see, you'll park 2 minutes over the parking time, and you'll walk out and you'll see a meter maid writing a ticket on your windshield, right? It's like the universe. It's people in the universe don't give you any slack, but if it was happening for them, they would get a ton of slack. So, anyways, guys, I'm not trying to make this video to gripe and complain. I'm just saying that this all ties into my message. This is relevant. It's as if you need to be just as stupid as people nowadays to function, to survive. It's as if you need to walk in the middle of the aisle now. And, they're probably not going to say anything. They probably will actually, but it's as if you try and follow everything to a T, it doesn't pay off. But if you also, stoop to their level, it doesn't pay off either. And that's why I said that you have to make your own rules. You got to make your own rules now. These days, I think. And, yeah. Because it's like no matter what we do, we can't win. Or it's no matter what option that you are given and you decide to take, when it comes to navigating, I'm talking specifically about navigating amongst these NPCs, the normal people, I call them. Okay? I'm specifically talking in public, when you're in public places. Not when you're in private, or when you're by yourself. That's a different story. But when you're amongst these people, these NPCs, it's as if you have to be just as dumb as they are. And I'm not saying be dumb because, like I said, I was talking about this for a long time today. in this video. If you're just as dumb as they are, 90% of the time you're gonna get called down on it. Someone's gonna come up to you and gonna try and get you in trouble. So guys, it's tough. But please don't give up. And know that, at the end of the day, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So write your own rules. Write your own rules. And don't go in public unless you absolutely have to. I mean, I'm saying this not to do what you want to do, I guess is what I'm going to say. Because I don't want you to be isolated. Sometimes you need to just get out there. Even if it's a living hell for you, you need to just get outside and, just know that you aren't the only person, right? Alone. But look. Personally, I have no problem being alone. I like it. It's peaceful, and I like peace. But for those of you who maybe are more extroverted, maybe you like the social life, get out more, but just be careful. Be careful. You gotta move very carefully. You gotta move very carefully around people these days. Because if you are perfect, you're going to be exhausted, and people will find something. They're going to fault find you, and if you become like them, they're going to call you out on it. It's happened to me so many times. I can't believe it. Like, the evidence was right in front of people. Like, let's say something happens and there's witnesses, and everybody saw that it had nothing to do with you. But guess what? Everybody's looking at you, and nobody's looking at the person who did it. Everybody knows you didn't do it, but they're singling you out because you're pretty, or you're handsome, or you're chosen, or you're different, or they're intimidated by you, and they want to find anything wrong with you. They can. It hurts maybe to hear this, but it's true. This is the reality we live in, guys. It's a reality that we live in, but it's a reality that we need to ignore. If they want to do this, they can do that. I'm not going to play. So anyways, guys, that's the message. I'm going to leave it. Oh, okay, I thought I saw something. I'm going to leave it and